Just across the river from Cincinnati stands this interesting little hybrid mall. Well, it's kind of a mall, but not really. It's closer to a lifestyle center. But it was a quirky little place I figured I'd visit. This is Newport on the Levee. As a relative newcomer to the scene, Newport on the Levee would open formally in 2001, being touted as a multi-level mixed-use facility. From day one, it would be arranged as an outdoor mall with a parking garage beneath the facility, though it would boast a small amount of interior space which would be referred to as the gallery. Don't worry, we'll see the gallery in time. There isn't a great deal of history available on the Levee, but over time, North American Properties would get a hold of Newport on the Levee in 2018 and would announce a redevelopment plan to revitalize the property. At the time, Newport on the Levee was considered underutilized, and North American Properties intended to rectify this issue by giving the property a facelift, new fixtures and paint, and gathering spaces where one could sit down, relax, or chat, or maybe even eat. And last but certainly not least, there were plans to bring in multiple retailers and restaurants into the property, and even a fancy spin on the flea market concept in order to give some aspiring entrepreneurs a start at their own business. I visited Newport on the Levee in March 2021, and plans were still underway inside the gallery. However, it appears that most of the gathering spaces outside were already complete, and new businesses were indeed moving in. Additionally, this place was busy, full of people on a mild March day. In fact, I was actually starting to get a little stressed out with the number of kids around the place. But in the grand scheme of things, you don't have to be an expert to know that a lot of people can mean a thriving property. I told you this place has an enclosed area. Let us not tarry much longer and have a look inside. I'm sure you can tell that this isn't a mall in the traditional sense. In fact, I'm sure there will be someone in the comments trying to shame me for daring to compare this to a mall. I just thought it would be an interesting break from the norm to have a look at something that may otherwise be overlooked in the retail communities. And in a weird way, I kinda liked it. Yes, the architecture isn't the most interesting, but I wound up finding at least one store that I really liked here. Colonel D's. And I'm not just saying that because it's an opportunity to Colonel D's nuts. It's a Kentucky-based spice shop where you can buy various blends of spices and herbs for different meals you may cook at home, from Carolina Gold to Cincy Fried. They even had this thing called Kentucky-Yaki, which is a teriyaki marinade with a bourbon base. It's a bit spicy, but it's pretty good. They don't pay me to say any of this, by the way. I just really like the place. I will admit there is not a lot of history on this place, as it's not just a newer property compared to the malls of the 80s and 70s we have been looking at, but also it's just not thought about all that much by your average Joe and Jane outside of a tourist trap to visit. One thing I have noticed, however, is that Newport on the Levee does have a roster of monthly and seasonal events, from kids events to yoga to trivia games. You even have movie nights and band concerts. So if you're into those kinds of things, then this may be the place for you. One thing I have noticed about the property is that in the historic imagery, none of this was actually here before the year 2000. Before then, it was just a typical inner city block with miscellaneous buildings. So even though the gallery looks like it's a repurposed warehouse, it's only 21 years old in the grand scheme of things. It does make for an interesting theme, however, even if the modern contemporary flats nearby still spoil the view. But it does show me how city life can be more appealing. Not that I would ever want to live here. Getting to Newport on the Levee is likely going to be a challenge, as you have to navigate city streets, and this is one of the few parts of Kentucky where traffic can quickly turn into a nightmare. Just getting here was a bit of an adventure in itself, as one crash blocked the entire freeway and it took nearly an hour for it to get cleared by emergency vehicles. Additionally, it felt like Interstate 75 is always under construction, which just makes everything all the more stressful. And with how many concert venues are in the area, I imagine if someone popular comes through, half of the region will just gridlock. We are about to wind down and end this quick trot around the levee, and normally I would return to our original entry point, but I guess I kept getting carried away, because I chose to go out here and walk along the Purple People Bridge for a moment. And that's another point I'd like to bring up before we end. Even if you aren't all that interested in the levee itself, you can still park there and walk around Newport, or even cross the river to Cincinnati. But that's enough from me. Have you any thoughts on Newport on the Levee? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do share in the comments below. Until then, thanks for having me, Newport, and until next time, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you, and Newport on the Levee, farewell, and good luck in this mad, mad, mad world. Just don't party too hard.
I'd recommend